I welcome you to the revision video of Half Yearly. Today we shall discuss this revision video. So let's start with the fill in the blanks. Who was the ruler of Samarkand? It was Taimur, a Mongol invader who was the ruler of Samarkand. Now, the next question. It's about first Battle of Panipat. It took place in 1526. It was fought between Ibrahim Lodi and Babur. It marked the end of the Delhi Sultanate and the beginning of the Mughal Empire. Fossil fuels are obtained from? They are obtained from sedimentary rocks, which are present in layers, right? And since they are present in layers, between the layers, there are remains of plants and animals which over a period of time due to pressure and temperature convert into fossil fuels. Granite and dolerite both are the examples of intrusive igneous rocks. Now, the biosphere was first used by the Austrian geologist Edward Suess, as given on page number 114. Another name for lithosphere is crust. Dash is a permanent house, so Vidhan Parishad is the permanent house. The Dash conducts meetings in the Vidhan Sabha. It's the speaker who conducts meetings in the Vidhan Sabha. A very important person who conducts meetings in the Vidhan Sabha. Now, the next question that we have is, the Chipko movement began in 1970s under the leadership of the Shauli Gram Swaraj Sangh. The important figures of this movement were Sundarlal Bahuguna, then Chandi Prasad Bhatt, Gaura Devi, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar and Jyotiba Phule fought for the disadvantaged class. Discuss the taxation in Doab region by Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Now see, Doab means two regions between river. See, Do means two and Ab means river in Punjabi. So Doab is basically between two rivers. So actually the region between Ganga and Yamuna is very fertile, and so farming has always been possible there. Now when there was famine, then Muhammad bin Tughlaq increased the tax in Doab region. When the peasants were facing hardships, he increased the tax in the Doab region instead of helping the farmers and giving them relaxation. And so he is known as half mad in the history because of his wrong policies. Though he was very educated, but the policies that he pursued were not appropriate. So he increased the tax when there was famine and the peasants were not in the position to pay the tax. Many peasants abandoned their land and went elsewhere, while some revolted. Finally, of course, he had to withdraw. Now, the next question that we have from the same chapter: who was Malika Food? Now, Malika Food, a very important person, a slave who played a very important role during Alauddin Khilji's reign. It is believed that Malik Kafur was brought bought by Alauddin Khilji. However, because of his intelligence, he was made the general, and Malika Food defeated the Yadavs of Devagiri and the Kakatiyas of Warangal, and he also defeated Hoyslas and Pandyas. And because of him, Alauddin Khilji was able to capture southern India. See, earlier the northern kings never crossed the Vindhya mountains, but then Malik Kafur, under the leadership of General Malik Kafur, Alauddin Khilji was able to capture the southern India. Malik Kafur defeated the Yadavs of Devagiri, Kakatiyas of Warangal, and later Hoyslas and Pandyas. And he was able to capture Dwar Samudra and Madurai. Now, if I discuss the composition of air, air is a mixture of gases. Air has 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, 1% argon, carbon dioxide, water vapor, dust, and smoke particles. Now, let's see what do we have in the next set. How is water useful to us? Water is useful to us. It's the basic amenity of life. It supports all forms of lives. It is needed for bathing, domestic purposes, cooking, agricultural activities. It is used to produce electricity. It is needed by the industries. It is needed by our body. It is a home to so many organisms. And then water, through water ways, trade is possible. So oceans provide us food, minerals, right? So water is something which is so very precious. What are minerals? Now, minerals are naturally occurring substances which occur in the rocks. Minerals, rocks are made up of minerals. Minerals are the naturally occurring substances found in the earth's crust. Minerals may contain one element or more elements. They also contain impurities. Minerals can be metallic or non-metallic in nature. If the mineral is lustrous, malleable, ductile, sonorous, then it is probably a metallic mineral. If it is non-sonorous, non-lustrous, a poor conductor of heat and electricity, it is probably a non-metallic mineral. Now discuss the characteristics of sedimentary rocks. Now sedimentary rocks are found in layers or beds. They are made up of particles of various sizes. Now they are of course softer than the igneous rocks, and between these layers get buried the remains of the plants and animals which get converted into fossil fuels. These rocks are mostly formed under water and have marks of waves and mud cracks. So water plays a very important role in the formation of these rocks. Now the next question that we have is, who were the prominent activists of the Chipko movement? If I talk of Chipko movement, it was started in the 1970s under the leadership of Dasoli Gram Swaraj Sangh, and then the women used to hug the trees to prevent the woodcutters from cutting down the trees. Then the movement gained momentum under Sundarlal Bahuguna. He also stated that ecology is our economy. Then the other activists were Chandi Prasad Bhatt, and Chandi Prasad Bhatt wanted the industries to be set up in the rural areas so that the people did not migrate to urban areas. And yes, of course, the industry should be set up in the rural areas to prevent migration of people in the urban areas. See, when people migrate to the urban areas, they put lot of pressure in the urban areas, right? urban life becomes expensive, more pollution because of more population, everything around becomes expensive, scarcity of water and everything. And when industries would be there in rural areas, so in rural areas poverty shall be, overcome. And the industries in the rural areas would use the forest products very very judiciously. And then Gaura Devi also emphasized on sustainable use of forest resources. Then if I discuss about how did Gandhiji fight against racial discrimination, so Gandhiji fought against racial discrimination in South Africa, where he was pushed out of a train. uh, so he fought against racial discrimination. He fought against discrimination on the basis of skin color. Basically, this is, discrimination on the basis of skin color, and he struggled against this. And if I talk of Mahatma Gandhi, he also struggled against, he also revolted against, he also struggled for the upliftment of the lower caste. And he even struggled for women. And then named to Indian reformers who fought, Rajaram Mohan Roy. He fought for the upliftment of women. Then Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, he emphasized that women should be given education. Swami Dayanand, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, they all fought for the status of women. They all wanted women to get education, to be independent, and not to be subjected to sati. Women should be allowed widow remarriage. They were people, very broad minded people, and so they are rightly known as reformers. Now, define constitution. Okay, constitution is a set of rules and regulations according to which a country is governed. So it spells out the rules and regulations. Legislation is the process of making laws for the country. It is important to make laws as we live in a civilized country. Yes, so we live in a civilized society, so laws are important. Discuss any two functions of the governor. First of all, governor is a linking pin between the president and the chief minister. Governor has a very important position. See, governor and secretary both are linking pin between the president and the chief minister. Governor is appointed for 5 years, while secretary is an IAS officer, so there is no time duration for the secretary. So, governor is the representative of the central government and oversees the functioning of the state government. Governor informs about all the happenings to the president, and when the governor signs a bill, then only the bill becomes law in case of state legislation. Explain briefly about the election procedure of candidates who become members of the legislative assembly. Okay, very interesting. If I talk of the election procedure of candidates who become members of the legislative assembly, then see, for the purpose of election, the country is divided into small constituencies. Yes, the country is divided for the purpose of state elections. The state is divided into small units called constituencies. Right? And from each constituency, the people living in that constituency elect one representative, and that representative becomes the part of legislative assembly. Now, whichever party gets maximum representatives elected to the legislative assembly, that is the winning party. Yes, whichever party's maximum representatives are elected to the legislative assembly becomes the ruling party, and the leader of that party becomes the chief minister. The governor invites him to become the chief minister. The number of seats in the legislative assembly depends upon the population of a state. However, the constitution states that the number of members should not be less than 60 and should not be more than 500. And the governor may also appoint two Anglo-Indian members, right, to the legislative assembly. Now discuss the role of chief minister. Chief minister is the leader of the ruling party. Chief minister appoints other ministers after seeking advice from the governor. After appointing the other ministers, he coordinates their function, how they are functioning. He may remove them. The chief minister and other ministers are collectively responsible for all the legislation, and the chief minister also advises the governor at times. Now, what are the reasons for inequality in India? The reasons for inequalities in India are, first of all, caste system. This is a major reason for inequality in India. Due to rigid caste system, people of lower caste have been discriminated for years. This is the major reason for inequality in India. Then, if I talk of caste inequality, it gave way to economic inequality, because the people of the lower caste were not allowed to practice certain professions, and since they were not allowed to practice different professions, so it led to poverty. They were only supposed to do the menial jobs like cleaning the toilets and everything. So this is another reason. Then the resources are unevenly distributed throughout the country, so this is another reason of inequality. Then women have been discriminated due to the orthodox society, right? Gender disparity was earlier prevalent, and now also it is prevalent. However, we have come a long way. So these are the various inequalities which existed due to caste system and wrong beliefs and unequal distribution of the resources. Now discuss the importance of lithosphere. Lithosphere is so very important for building infrastructure. We have rocks. The rocks break to form soil, and soil is so very important. We obtain food, cloth from the soil. Then lithosphere has rocks, and in the lithosphere occur minerals which are of great importance to us. They are important for the development of the society. So lithosphere is of all the three realms are really very important: lithosphere, hydrosphere and atmosphere. So lithosphere has its own importance. On the lithosphere stand mountains, plateaus, plains, rivers. Lithosphere provides us land for building houses, roads, factories. We get minerals. We have discussed all these things. What is human environment? See, human environment is the surrounding which is created by the humans using skill and technology. Like for example, around us there are bridges, schools, roads, etc., right? Then this is human environment. The family around us, man using the technology is trying to modify the nature. As a result of this modification, many animals are becoming extinct. Many animals are on the verge of extinction. Man has cut down trees to meet the need of the growing population. As a result, the ecological balance is disturbed. In the guise of industrial development, to meet Industrial development, we have caused great damage and pollution to the environment. The unwise use of technology has resulted in sheer damage to the environment. If the same continues, then our earth might also become lifeless like other planets. So it is high time that we need to conserve our environment. Now if I talk of rock cycle, rocks are constantly changing. The igneous rocks change into sedimentary rocks change into metamorphic rocks change into igneous rocks, or igneous rocks directly change into metamorphic rocks due to temperature and pressure, due to various agents of the environment. And the rocks keep breaking, keep keep consolidating, and the old rocks break, the new rocks are formed, and this whole process is known as rock cycle. See, the magma oozes out, it cools down, it becomes lava, then forms igneous rocks change into sedimentary rocks, metamorphic rocks, and the scientific study of rocks is called petrology. What is it called? It is called petrology. Now if I talk of sedimentary rocks, sedimentary rocks are formed in due course of time. The example of sedimentary rocks are sandstone, limestone, shale, chalk, conglomerate. These rocks are formed mainly due to action of water, and these are found in horizontal layers. These are softer than igneous rocks, and between these rocks there are remains of dead plants and animals. If I talk of metamorphic rocks, they are really hard, right? So sedimentary rocks are soft, but these are hard. And metamorphic rocks include marble, which is formed from limestone, gneiss, which is formed from granite, slate, which is formed from shale, quartzite, which is formed from sandstone. Metamorphic rocks are very hard and they do not have any space between them. Now, like the sedimentary rocks, the igneous rocks change their position. When rocks are carried from one place to another, they eventually change into sedimentary rocks, but then the metamorphic rocks do not change their position. Now, why was Razia disliked by the nobles? The nobles were very, very narrow-minded. They were unlike Iltutmish, who wanted his daughter to become the ruler. The nobles were very, very narrow-minded. They did not like to be instructed by a women ruler, so they all decided to murder her near Delhi. She wasn't incompetent, she was very, very competent, right? But then it was just the narrow-mindedness of the nobles which led to such merciless end of Razia. Though her brothers were not as abled as her, she was very, very able. She used to dress like a man, she used to go for hunting and everything, but then she was not liked and she was murdered. Discuss the Battle of Panipat. If I talk of the Battle of Panipat, the Battle of Panipat, which was fought in 1526 between Ibrahim Lodi and Babur, marked the end of the Delhi Sultanate and the beginning of the Mughal Empire. And Ibrahim Lodi was the last ruler of the Sultanate dynasty. The nobles were unhappy. His uncles only invited Babur to defeat Ibrahim Lodi. It was a blunder, and it led to the rise of the Mughal Empire, which lasted for a number of years and had posed a great impact in the history of India. With this, I wind up. I request all of you to take very good care of yourselves and go through the pictures of the chapter, the Delhi Sultanate. All the pictures, since we shall have picture-based questions or the case study from the chapter. So, go through them All the best. Prepare well. Go through the workbook also very, very properly. Thank you and have a great day ahead.